The theme for this month's blog topics has been on emotional intelligence. And Daniel Goleman pioneered a lot of the research on emotional intelligence, but others have taken over, and I think it's an incredibly important topic and one we need to spend more time on, and especially in educating people and youth in understanding what emotional intelligence is all about and developing their emotional intelligence. I've become very interested in emotional intelligence, specifically because of some of the mental health challenges that I went through in my younger years. And a lot of the research and reading and studying that I did was to understand what was causing these emotions, what were the emotions, and how I could mitigate or control these emotions. And it was a lot of years in studying that particular subject, and it's become a real passion of mine. When I was making the transition out of engineering into what I'm doing now in terms of speaking and training and consulting, in order to mitigate the risk involved in leaving a large engineering company and starting my own business, I took on a part-time professor position at one of the colleges in Toronto. And one thing that I notice more than anything in students nowadays is that there are a lot of mental health and emotional challenges. And it led to a lot of emotional outbreaks and just a lot of students that don't understand and aren't able to control and deal with the stress and the different phobias and challenges that they're having to deal with on a daily basis. I think a lot of this comes from the digital era, in that when I would go down the halls of the college, most of the students would be backs against the walls, lost in their devices. And so they're living in this digital world through their avatar rather than having the same degree of emotional and interconnectivity that I think a lot of people had to have in the past because we didn't have the option of technology. Empathy is an extremely important part of emotional intelligence, being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes and see what they're going through from their perspective. And also part of that is being able to connect and to help them through that process. Unfortunately, a lot of the addictions and substance abuse that people become reliant on nowadays stems from not understanding or trying to hide some of the negative emotions that we're experiencing. And so this is why it's so important to understand these emotions and to put in the time and effort to research what's causing them. How can we control our emotions? As humans, we are emotional beings. And so it's not about hiding our emotions. Life is an emotional journey. We just need to be able to direct our emotions to some degree, and we're going to have negative emotions, but not get caught up in them. When I was in my younger years, that's exactly what happened. Is I would be continuously stuck in my mind trying to diagnose some of the negative feelings that I had within me, and it became a self-fulfilling prophecy, and that they just became worse and worse for that reason. And I was stuck in my mind more than anything. In many ways, I'm very thankful for some of the emotional challenges and the mental health journey that I've went through, because it's allowed me to understand on a much more deeper level how our minds work and how our emotions work. And this has, I think for me, really increased my emotional intelligence, and it allows me to be that much more effective in helping others in this regard as well. Having a high level of emotional intelligence, more than anything, is about knowing yourself intimately. And when I talk about knowing yourself, it's really knowing what's going on inside of you and being able to have some degree of control over this. It's important to make time for some fun in your life so that it's not all about work. And I try to do that to the best of my abilities. My pole broke, so I guess I'm going to have to do this manually. A major key to emotional intelligence is being able to recognize your own emotions early. So when someone cuts you off in traffic or someone says something that really makes you upset, instead of going down that path of stewing over it and having an emotional explosion, you think about it and respond in an intelligent way that more than anything is going to ensure your own happiness. I mean, in many ways, many times we want to have this emotional explosion and really tell the person what our deep thoughts are, and it feeds our ego in doing so. But really, in the end, it doesn't help with relationships, and generally in a long term, it's detrimental both for yourself and for the other person. A much more intelligent and, quite frankly, more effective response is to simply verbalize what you're feeling, and do so in a respectful manner. Get it off your shoulders so that you can move on and you're not stewing about that particular incident for hours and days to come.